Higgins. Hey, Higgins. Higgins.
Hey.
Hey, listen to this.
Ooh, she got there.
You know what that means, right?
Does that mean no?
It's time to podcast.
Ooh.
Higgins, right off at the top, people don't like podcasts that just dilly-dally around the first few minutes, especially in the first episode. So please do me the honors of telling me who you are, who I am, and what we're doing.
Well, I'm Higgins, and I'm just a guy that's sitting in a chair in a basement that's gonna drink this lovely drink and talk about this graphic novel that I read.
That's
and
right.
You're Snoop, and you're doing the same thing. You just have a spoon.
Yeah, we're just doing it in the same room. I've got the spoon because I wanted to do the bit in the beginning. So honestly, I don't need the spoon anymore.
Otherwise, we're exactly the same.
More or less the same people.
More or less the same people. You just have a spoon.
Yeah.
You just have silverware.
Which is actually going to tie in perfectly to what we're going to talk about later on. But yeah, as you said, we're drinking some drinks, we read some books, and we're here to talk about them. We're going to do this once a month. Stay pretty strict to that schedule.
Yeah, we're doing it once a month. We're going to try to pop them out right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, it's still hot. Well, it's still hot and fresh. Yeah, and we're just again enjoy some drinks along the way. Today we're going to try and theme every drink around the books we've been reading, and we're going to start with a book we picked out because we wanted something short and to the point. That was a lot of fun. We didn't want anything too heavy-handed for this first episode.
And maybe even a little happy.
Yeah, we felt really good. We read Superman's Secret Identity, which was written back in 2004 by Kurt Busiek or by Stuart Eminem. So to fit the theme, we decided to make a drink called the Superman. And what was it we got in here? We got some coconut rum.
We got some coconut rum by Malibu.
Mm-hmm. Which Higgins, don't for other people that want to make this drink at home and read and drink along with us, don't have them stick to what we.
Yeah, you can have your own coconut rum. We just have Malibu over here.
Yeah, we picked the cheapest rum.
Yeah,
but other people might be wealthier than us, so they can buy something nicer.
Once we get all this podcast money for saying Malibu this many times, we'll be able to get that good stuff.
By law, they have to sponsor. Or they have to let us sponsor them if we say it at least 3 more times. What was it? We got some rum. We've got some peach schnapps.
Some peach schnapps, which I don't know what that is, but it's alcohol.
Higgins, it's schnapps.
Yeah, schnapps.
Yeah, you answered your own question. What else is in there?
There's some triple sec, but whatever that is.
Yeah, still good. I think that one's also peach flavored.
Yeah. Also the cheapest thing we could find. I don't know if they have brands.
If it's not clear at this point, we know nothing about alcohol, which is another reason why we started the show, so we could try new drinks and say whether or not we liked them. I like this one. It's pretty good.
I like it. And if someone wants to call it girly, then they can.
Yeah.
But it tastes very, very fruity.
Yeah, so you take half an ounce of each, the rum, the triple sec, the schnapps, put that in a little shaker, mix it all up, top it off with some pineapple juice, and then add a splash of grenadine, or in Higgins' case, just pour half the bottle in there.
Yeah, by accident, that stuff was wily.
It was a real loose unit, wasn't it?
And I was already like one drink in, so like by that point,
you're really flying off the handle now.
Going downhill.
That's fine. So yeah, get that. Grab the book we said, and now let's talk about that book. Higgins, now, I know you did the required reading. Twice, actually. You read it not once, but twice.
Like, almost twice.
You gave it a good skim on the second time.
The first time I didn't read the last one, because I was like, I'm going to save this finale for the real final reading.
Oh, so you never actually read it the first time?
I never read it the first time. I read the first 3 issues and then stopped dead in my tracks.
Huh.
And then I read the whole thing all the way through.
But you at least got to you've at least read it.
I've read all of it now.
Once. Okay, cool. Well, very good. So we could still keep doing this. But did you read the bit in the beginning? A little, it's not really a biography, but just Kurt Busiek writing down some stuff, saying what the book's about and where it came from.
I didn't read any of that.
I didn't think you did, but that's okay, because I went back and read it, and it's actually very interesting. I would go back and read it when you do your third read-through, but I'll go ahead and, just give you a little rundown, because I think it adds a lot more to this story once you kind of know where it came from. It's dedicated to people at DC, Elliot Magan, Julie Schwartz, and Kurt Swan, who were at DC back in the 80s and wrote a comic called DC Comics Presents number 87. That was happening around the time of, are you familiar with the Crisis event, Crisis on Infinite Earths? You ever heard anything about that?
I've heard of it. I couldn't tell you what it entails so much, but...
So, I mean, we've done a podcast once before for a little bit.
Yeah,
where
we did some things.
Yeah, we picked up the Rebirth continuity when that kind of kicked off. So DC, Marvel, all the big hitters, they have a, when they run out of ideas or things get too complicated, they just erase everything and start from scratch. It happens more frequently now than it used to.
Yeah, like every 20 or 30 issues.
It seems that way, yeah. But, we had Rebirth, we had the New 52. Well, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that was kind of like the biggest one to just take all the Earths we had read about at that time at DC and just get rid of them all except the main Earth where like the main Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, all those guys were.
All the main characters.
Exactly. But, while DC was off doing that, getting ready for the first and only continuity revamp, they had other people come in and write little tie-in comics, and this was one of them, this DC Comics 87. And Kurt Busiek that's kind of where he found the inspiration for his story in Secret Identity. It's actually about the story of a Superboy on Earth Prime, which in DC is just the regular Earth, like where
we live.
Exactly, where the characters like Superman, Batman, they're all actually comic book characters in these stories. And it focuses on a boy whose name is Clark Kent, who realizes that he has the powers of Superman one day. And it's just a one-off issue. I think later on in the Crisis event, that same Superboy teams up with the real Superman, or the fake the main Superman.
And the main Superman.
But he lives after the event, but his world is destroyed, because that's what happens in Crisis on Infinite Earths. It wipes out all the worlds except the one. And Kurt Busiek really loved that story, apparently. Really just kind of interested in this concept of a boy with the powers of Superman living in a regular world. And he's kind of bummed when that world was wiped. Like I said, the character was fine. He went off into like some weird like heaven or something, apparently. But the world was gone, so you can't go back to that. And I don't know a lot about Kurt Busiek. Apparently he's been around in comics for a really long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's got some different things he did.
He's done a thing or two, that's right. But he immediately was just interested in the story and seeing it continue. So much so that he wanted to write it. But he knew that they wouldn't let him write a Superman story about this character after they just went to all the trouble of scrapping all the other universes. So he kind of had to sit on it for like 15, 20 years, which I thought was really interesting. That, I mean, this story's been out for a really long time now, since 2004, but he had been thinking about it since like the 80s and wanted to do something with that character. It kind of went on. He goes from there in a little bit. You can read all of it if you had the book. And like I said, it's actually a really interesting read. But he went on to do things like Marvels, which is I haven't read it. We actually looked at it when we were looking at things to read for this. It's just kind of
where that guy looks at it's like some reporters looking at all the superheroes from his point of view, kind of deal.
Yeah, from the Marvel universe. Yeah. And he writes another long running series, which apparently is really great, called Astro City. Which is,
I see that right here.
Yeah,
I don't know what it even is though.
I know it's superheroes and kind of again that real world setting, but all I really know about it is that there's a corgi with superpowers or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Pretty good stuff. But yeah, he kept working on stuff like that. Just kind of doing these stories, which it is an interesting story. Like, you have a character like Superman who can kind of do anything. What would you do if a character like that existed in our normal everyday world where there weren't superheroes just doing everything all the time, and it's just kind of a normal thing in DC and Marvel? And that story's been done countless times since.
Yeah.
What I like about Kurt Busiek in this story, and I'm sure he really liked about the story of Superboy Prime when he read it, is not so much what if you had the powers of that character in your real world, but kind of what that does for your character.
Yeah, what you have to deal with having those powers and not knowing whether or not you can trust anybody to know that you have those powers.
Yeah, and how does that affect your, any sense of normalcy that you might want or have going from there on out? Like, the superhero stuff is cool, obviously. That's why it sticks around as much as it does. That's why we'll watch someone in spandex fight for 2 hours in a movie, and they release 4 a year. Even the ones I don't want to see, like Dark Phoenix.
Because everybody likes everybody likes watching people do cool shit.
They like the flashy stuff.
I try to tell people that. I don't know how someone could say they don't like watching people do cool shit.
You're bringing your soapbox around. on it. You get out of every stoplight and you just say, hey, why aren't we doing more of this? Why don't you like it? And then you get back in your car, go to the next stoplight. It takes you hours to get anywhere, but you get your point across, and I respect that. But yeah, he really wanted to do the story. He had to wait on it for years, and then it wasn't until he met editor Joey Cavalieri. Maybe he's Italian, maybe he's not. I don't want to make that assumption. That guy asked him, hey, you've been writing comics for us. They're pretty good. Do you have a Superman story? And he just kind of wrung his little hands together, and he's like, oh boy, do I. Boy,
do I.
And it just kind of like, the story just kind of like went from there. He does mention one thing which I thought was kind of interesting. See, he wanted to make this a longer running story originally. He wanted this to, because if you've already read Secret Identity, first of all, if you haven't, we're going to spoil the shit out of it. So pause this.
Yeah, maybe pause it and then come back in like, I don't know, like a couple hours.
It's a pretty short read. But yeah, pause that, read it, or don't come back at all. Just read the book at least. That's all we can say. That's all we want you to do. Maybe have some of this drink we've been talking about. But yeah.
Because it's doing me just fine.
It's doing really good. We're what, 3 in, if it's not obvious?
Well, 2.5.
We're getting to 3. We're going to at least make it to 3.5 by the end of this episode. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that he originally wanted to make this like a long-running thing. Because in the book, there's 4 issues. Each issue focuses on a different aspect of this Clark Kent's life, but he wanted it to go like, maybe 20 issues of him just being a kid, and he wants to go to prom, but he can't because he's going to twirl his date to death, and because he doesn't know his own strength. There's just stuff like that. I think that would have been interesting, but
I think I would have ended up hating it a lot more.
Exactly, because
to an extent, it would have been cool, but I don't think it would have hit as hard. Or hit quite as home.
I like this. I don't know if he's working on another series right now, or he just finished it. I'm not sure, where he's kind of doing a similar thing with Batman. But with the Superman angle, I like these vignettes that you get of, it's still the same character, but I get to skip a lot of the stuff that might kind of drag the story down. And I get to see different aspects of how the powers, and still having them even growing up into an old man, how that affects his mindset and how he deals with his family and, his job and just relationships in general. And, the big part of this one is his identity. How does that define him? And so it's cool to just kind of come in at the most important aspects of his life and see what that does for him. See, I agree, Higgins. You're right. And Kurt Busiek is wrong, but he wrote a really good book, so it's okay.
And he ended up being right eventually. So do you want to hop into all those spoilers?
Yeah, I'm pretty much, like I said, go back and read that little bit. It's actually really entertaining. The only other thing that I thought was really cool was he talks about Stuart Eminem, who, we don't know really anything about art. We know when it looks good and we know when it looks bad. I think the art's really good here.
Yeah, I like it. It's got some neat colors.
Yeah, it's very muted to kind of really set that it's muted and kind of, I think someone said rustic at one point, to kind of set that tone of, this isn't a comic book world. This is just a guy with comic book powers. And I think that really helps. Even Kurt Busiek in the interview said that this kind of became Stuart Eminem's book because of how great the art is. And even this quote here I got from him talking about Stuart Eminem. He says, if you can believe in the guy standing on the sidewalk, you'll believe it when he sees another man fly overhead. And Stuart can make you believe in the guy on the sidewalk like nobody's business. And that's kind of, that's really cool, because this book's focus is on Clark Kent, but Busiek really wants to drive home of, how does this one person with these powers also affect the regular world around him? Like, how do these people take it? And do they even, a lot of that comes up that we'll probably get into is, do they even believe what they're seeing? There's a lot of that in this. So yeah, all really good stuff, I think. You should have read it.
Yeah.
You should have read it. But then I wouldn't have gotten to talk about it. So
yeah, and you talked about it.
Did I though? Now I'll let you talk. You just want to kind of go, I guess we can kind of just go like talk about the points we really liked.
Points in each of the, okay, so it breaks it up into 4 bits. And we'll just hop, skip, and a jump right into the first one.
Higgins, you've been drinking. You might fall hopping around like that.
Hopping and a skipping, and just calmly striding down the sidewalk that you just mentioned.
All right, very good.
All right.
This is our first episode. We don't want to go hot right out of the gate. Get hurt. Yeah. So you actually didn't you write down the list of or the titles of the issues?
I got those titles for you right here.
Throw one right at me.
Part 1 of 4 is Smallville.
Ooh.
Which is crazy because that's not even the name of the town in this book.
Pickettsville.
Yeah. Which the title of Smallville is literally just so it could be any small town in that area of Kansas. So the fact that he lives in a small town in Kansas
just all lines up.
Is the point, I think. Maybe.
You should ask him. Maybe, but Higgins, maybe it's in that little bit in the front I just talked about.
I'll probably maybe look at that. I don't know.
I don't think he's gonna read it.
But okay, so we're in this small town of Kansas, Smallville, and we meet our friend Clark Kent, which his parents thought was a huge laugh riot.
Yeah,
they're like, our last name's Kent, Laura, and
I don't know,
Kane,
Dave,
something,
David Kane,
David Kane Kent,
David Kane Kent, David the Kane Kent. Yeah, but you know what I like about this is like I said, this story of what if Superman was in a regular world and had powers and whatever, that's been done countless times, and usually it kind of takes an edgier tone to it. But this book throughout is just kind of like wholesome, relaxing fun. And there's similarities. There's a lot of similarities between the character of Superman in the comics and this version of Clark Kent, who's also in a comic, but not supposed to be in a comic.
Yeah.
You were just talking about him coming from a small town. He's got the parents who live in Kansas, and like that's Superman's origin, like through and through. But then you kind of throw in the fun little differences. This is in a world where Superman's a character, so they think it'd be funny if they just named their kid Clark.
Because our last name's Kent.
Yeah.
And he just hates it.
He's not a fan, is he?
He's like, man, all my uncles keep giving me all this Superman stuff, and I would just really like an iPad.
He's got Action Comics #1. If that's the same world we're living in, that even back then, that was probably worth some hefty change in your pocket.
Maybe 2 iPads.
Yeah. They get him an iPad, but they've like...
They only put Superman comics on it.
They deleted the app and just put like Superman comics on it. But yeah, that's something I really like about this character that makes him stand out from the Clark Kent we know in the regular continuity is... He's just so sick of everything, even from an early age. Because I think it's like his 15th birthday when we first meet him. Like, they're at his party and he gets another gift. He's just so sick of it. Like, even when his parents, like, make a joke about it, he loves his parents, obviously, but it turns him away instantly. Like, I think they make a joke about how, like, his dad calls the barn outside his Fortress of Solitude.
And he's like, oh, well, I can't go there for, like, months now.
Yeah. Anything to be associated with the character is just it's not for him. And I like that. It's one of those things I think, and it's not really kind of explained, but maybe he would have liked comics if he didn't have this namesake,
or at least like Superman comics.
Yeah, but
he might like your Green Lantern or your...
I don't think he likes it. I don't think
your Marvel comics.
I'm pretty sure he hates everything to do with it, because even there's that bit where he's like, I sit with the nerds because they're the only ones who won't like will let me. But even then they ask me comic questions. Like, they ask him, like, who's the original Teen Titans lineup? Is Wonder Girl in it? She is, by the way. But he's just like, I don't fucking know.
And like, you think they know.
Yeah, you would think they know.
But it is worth mentioning, before we hop too far, this Clark Kent also likes writing, which through the entirety of all the book, he's just tacking away on his old typewriter that his parents gave him.
Yeah, he's an old-fashioned dude, isn't he? And I think a lot of that, like, it's cool to kind of go back and... I skimmed this for a second reading before we did this, but seeing little stuff like that, the subtleties in his character kind of develop is... I think the only reason he became a writer later on is because he needed the outlet to kind of just talk about how pissed off he was that everyone wouldn't leave him alone about Superman. You know, he would go off into the barn and type on that I almost said keyboard. What is it?
That's a typewriter.
It's 2019. No one uses typewriters anymore. But yeah, he'd go in there and he's just letting... That was his outlet.
It's 2019, Snoop. People are using typewriters more than ever. Think of all those hipsters out there.
It probably is making a comeback, isn't it?
Oh, it's already way in the comeback zone. But okay, so he's typing away on this keyboard, and he's or now I'm saying keyboard, but he's like, man, he hates that his dad called it the Fortress of Solitude, but what he likes more than anything else is getting away to that solitude, and that's kind of what starts the whole super part of this story off.
Yeah, he's very. I think it's the biggest difference between this Clark Kent and the one in the regular continuity is Superman. He saves people, but a big part of him is. Like the point of Superman has never been the powers, because the thing is his powers are all kind of just they're staples and they're boring. Like
he has fly. Too many of them.
He has too many of them. For a while there, he could do literally anything. But when you look at his base power set, he can fly, he's indestructible, and he can shoot heat vision. It's kind of a boring power set, but that's never been what Superman's about. Like it's about what he means to people and also how he gives back. Superman, when he's not saving the world or saving cats out of trees or whatever, he takes time out of his already busy day to talk to anyone who wants to talk to him. Like he'll interact with anyone who just wants to ask him a question, and he's happy to do so. This isn't that character. He likes his like you said, he likes his solitude. He likes to be alone and just think. He'll go on a hike
without anything, not even his typewriter.
It's not. I bet he tried. I bet he tried to take that typewriter.
Man, this is heavy.
Ran out of ribbons.
Too bad there isn't a thing that doesn't weigh 30 pounds to type on.
Well, Higgins, this was the 90s when this started.
I guess that's true. They didn't have anything like that. But a notebook?
But
he's out there camping. And what happens? I don't know.
Oh, were you asking me?
Yeah. There's a question mark at the end of that one. And what happens?
I thought it was your setup. You're like, and what? Like I thought you were gonna answer your own question.
Well, I was, but then I was like, no, I'm gonna let him do it.
All right, I'll since you gave me the floor, I guess I'll take over. He has a weird nightmare, which is never really brought up again, but that's not important because Higgins, lo and behold, he's flying up in the air in a sleeping bag.
Yeah, and he's surprised, but then he's really, really happy.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool how we had seen this character just be sick of everything Superman. But even he can't contain his excitement when he realizes he has his powers. Because that's just, especially when you're a kid, to just like wake up from a weird acid dream and see you're flying. It's incredible. And the art's really great in that that bit particular. Like there's just like a big double page spread
flying
of him
in that
flying.
Night sky.
Yeah, it really drives that home. So yeah, it's all really good stuff. And that's kind of where we really get to see this character be his own person. I think it's the biggest thing about this story for me is he has Superman's powers now, and it does change him in a lot of ways, but at his core, his personality is what it was before. He's really reclusive in a way. He's almost kind of early on, and I think they mention it at one bit, kind of like standoffish, like he really doesn't like to interact with other people. He wants friends, like he just wants people he can kind of be himself around, but I guess not getting that because you're the butt of everybody's jokes. And
his namesake, and he doesn't know how to not be the butt of a joke.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, like, the story's about identity, so everyone is treating you like you're this version that's been written down on paper, but he's the furthest person from that, and he's, like, it's kind of like, just put him away. So he decides to keep his powers to himself. And I know he does go through a bit of like, maybe I want to tell everyone because then I could beat up the bully in school and get the girl and all this and that. But even towards the end of that first issue, that's where he makes that important decision to go.
He makes that important decision to, well, what really set that off was him running into that reporter, which took him down a long winding road of like, will I, won't I?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the not knowing just finally killed that reporter, like mentally.
Yeah, she went crazy.
She went full bonkers, and that's what made him realize, whoa, maybe I should hold off on like trying to tell people this stuff.
Yeah, because there's a really great bit, and it's the climax of this first issue, because he's had the powers for a little bit. He's having some fun with them. He's talking to the reporter. He's like, maybe my life would be kind of better in a lot of ways if I just went public, because he can buy whatever he wants. He can be on TV. He can probably get a lot of attention and get the friends, get the girls. He just wants the girl a lot in this first issue, but who doesn't,
Y'all, Cassie.
Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. Cassie, Sandra, Lana. Pete's mentioned at one point. He wants Pete. He just wants Pete to notice him. That's all. But yeah, you have that great bit where there's not a lot of action in this book because for the most part, he's the only superhero, but you do get a lot of good set pieces where like that crazy reporter blows up the festival and he has to save a bunch of people and he's just moving so fast. And you see more of his, like, you see more of the similarities with Superman come out where he just kind of acts like he is scared because he doesn't know what's going to happen to him or other people, but all that matters is that there's others in danger. And that's a very Superman reaction. Is just, I don't care about myself. I've got to get these people to safety. And it's just really great. And that's the closest he ever really comes to his identity being revealed in public.
And that's the other thing where it shows like the other side of his personality where like he's been toying with this idea of like telling people who he really is, but when it comes down to using his powers out in public, he's making like a very conscious effort to like go super speedy so no one sees him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be part of that.
Until his lady love gets trapped, and then he's like, I gotta save her.
Yeah, and he's like, this will be my big debut, and he kind of just fucks it up, which I think is really funny because he's very new to all this, and also he's a kid, so he would do something dumb like he grabs the beam too hard, and it just falls on him.
Well, no, that was I don't know. It might have just been the way I read it, but I think that was more on purpose. He sees this reporter that's gone full on bonkers, and he decides, maybe I don't want to be the center of attention anymore. So he's like, I'm going to make it look like I just got that super mom adrenaline strength where you can lift a car off their baby when it falls on them. He basically makes it look like he's just a normal guy that happened to get a little lucky carrying this big beam.
I didn't even think about that. It's a pretty dead-on description of his powers, too. I mean, you definitely don't want that baby messing up the car.
Yeah.
Just get it out of there. But, yeah, that's actually pretty good. I could see it working that way as well. That probably is what he meant. I don't know. I'm 2.5 drinks in, Higgins. This could be a completely different book because I'm reading it upside down. But yeah.
Now we're moving into the fast-paced lifestyle of this new Clark Kent, and as the Superman secret identity. We're jumping forward 10? Would you say 10? Probably 10, right?
There's a lot of big jumps in this.
10, 15 years?
At least, because he's living it up in the big city, Higgins.
In the New York City, which is Manhattan?
He's right in the middle of the Manhattans. He's in the heat of it. He wants to be a writer or something.
And that's where we start our second issue, called Metropolis. But it's not Metropolis. Like I said before, that's the Superman space. He's in Manhattan, which is Superman's Metropolis.
Yeah,
technically.
You know what they always say. Manhattan's just the metropolis that you haven't been to yet.
Well, you said that.
That's what I said. Someone said that, and I'm always saying it.
Nah, at least that one time. But yeah, this one's nice. We get some more Superman jokes.
This one might be my favorite because you know me, Higgins. I'm a sucker for a love story, and that's what all this is about.
This is started off, but I'll give you $1 if you can tell me what his lady love's last name is.
I can't tell you because I wrote it down.
You wrote it down. That's not fair.
But you didn't say, I'll give you $1 if you can correctly pronounce it. So it's Lois Chandari?
Chandari?
Doesn't matter. Go get me my $1.
Click. That was
I added those in. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, like I said, I'm a sucker for a love story, and this one's really good. And this is kind of where I picked up on what he was doing with the story, where he's got the powers. It's not important. What's important is how's that affecting him in some of like the biggest parts of his life, and meeting your lady love. And they have a bit of fun with it too. It's because again, it's taking these things that he's hated since he can remember. I hate being called Clark Kent. It sucks. Well, I got Superman powers now, so that's pretty cool. And even like 10, 15 years later, whatever he said, when he's in Manhattan, he moved away. He still can't get away from it because all his coworkers are fucking with him, and then he gets set up on dates. He says at one point he's been set up with like
18 Loises,
like 4 Lanas, and then
1 Cat Grant.
Yeah,
which I looked her up, and she is in Superman. I figured she was, but she's in Superman.
Yeah.
Like she's in there like a healthy amount too, not just a small amount.
She's kind of she's just the annoying gossip columnist.
Yeah.
She's in Supergirl at the moment, which is a show that I don't watch, but apparently isn't terrible. So yeah, maybe look into that Cat Grant. But while we're looking into this Cat Grant and this Lois Chandriari, I like that she's also just can't be fucked with this because
she's like immediately finds out she's been set up on this date with Clark, and she's like, God dang it, guys.
Yeah, and I guess people don't have anything better to do than just, like, a lot of people in this world seem to keep up with comics. Because, I mean, Lois and Clark, that's like a famous comic couple, but she doesn't even have the same last name.
Yeah.
It's a completely different name. She's Indian, right, in this?
Yeah, she's Indian.
They still can't help themselves, but it ends up working out for them. And they, like, I like their relationship because this Lois is, in a lot of ways, what Lois Lane is to Clark Kent in the comics. Like, from the beginning, she hasn't really come across as sassy to me. She comes across as just kind of like a strong woman who is doing her own thing and doesn't put up with anyone's bullshit.
The top of her field.
Yeah, she's
kind
like
of thing.
Interior designing all of Manhattan.
Interior designing, and then eventually like the world. But yeah, she keeps him grounded, and he struggles with a lot of man, should I tell this one person? I know I shouldn't tell everybody, but should I tell this one specific person?
Yeah, and that's kind of a big deal for this character because they catch us up pretty quick on where he's at in his, kind of in his life and what he's thinking in the beginning of each issue, because he works at the writer's thing, and someone, I think it's his boss at that place, is like, hey, this guy wants you to write a book, and I think you'd be really good for it. You know what you're talking about. You do your research well. The only problem is you're just kind of like a prick. Like,
yeah, you're all head, no heart.
Yeah, and
then she tells him to get laid.
She does. And he's working on it.
Boy, does he.
Yeah, but then you take all that which we read, and it comes back because now he's head over heels for this Lois, and he's like, I feel like I'm not being honest with her, and that makes me feel bad. So we see this character grow, and also presented with a huge obstacle is his identity is his thing. Like his secret is what makes him happy. But could he be happier if he just shared it with her? But then there's also a lot of stuff coming up because the government's involved in this.
Okay,
They're
yeah,
looking for him.
I was just about to ask, is this the one where he gets caught?
Yeah, and that's really scary. Like,
it's wild
because it's a lot of illustration, no dialogue of him just like coming to in and out over
with some old comic book scenes.
Yeah,
facing like old villains, some Lex Luthor, some Brainiacs.
Yeah, they do that fun bit of like taking comic panels and kind of like lining them up with what's happening to him. That's real fun. And then he breaks out and has that big scary naked fight, and he's freaked out after that because he was gonna tell her, but after what happened to him, he's like,
"That's not safe. It's not safe."
Yeah, it's in a lot of ways he's more concerned about himself than he worries about her, but he's like, that happened to me, and I've been doing my own thing, and they caught me. If I tell her and she ends up freaking out, she'll go straight to them, and I'm fucked. So that kind of really messes with him. But you get to see a lot of this Lois again, like she's his rock, and he gets the courage to tell her, and ends up being a good thing for him. There's obviously obstacles that come with it later on, but that character wouldn't have been able to grow and be better if he hadn't let this one person in. And I think it's really cool because that's something that Lois Lane in the comics, a lot of times she's the same way, but she's known his identity forever, and
she exposed him in the original stuff. Well, yeah. she found him out.
Yeah,
rather than the other way around.
And there's plenty of good stuff with that relationship. They've got the kid now, John, and that's all really good stuff. But to see how these characters, which may have the same names, but they're their own unique characters, how would they handle a situation like this? It was kind of fun to see Busek's take on that and how it played out. So yeah, it's all really good stuff. Like I said, this is probably my favorite of the four. It's just real. There's a lot of tension there, a lot of sexual tension there, a lot of sexual release there. Just a lot of sex, Higgins, is my point.
And that's
what I sign up for.
That's what you look for in a comic.
Yep.
But before we hop into the third one, it also showed us that like he's not like quite as super as the Superman that we know. He's not quite as powerful. He's able to be taken down with more relative ease than your typical Superman.
Yeah, because up until that point, his powers have been kind of vague as far as he can do a lot of what Superman can do. But like you said, he what are his weaknesses? Kind of what can other people do to him? what are his limits, and also where did it come from? And we get a glimpse of that. We never really get a definitive answer. It's kind of mentioned that
something with some meteor strikes,
and the government was doing some stuff, because I think he finds like 12 other people before him that have been killed,
including babies.
Oh, he wasn't a fan of that.
Dead babies.
That really, really played into the big naked fight scene, which not enough sexual tension in that, oddly enough. But what are you gonna do? Hits and misses. But yeah, I think it's cool to keep that kind of stuff vague, because that's not the point. Again, the powers aren't the point of this story. It never was. It's just what happens if you have them. What's that gonna do? Who are you gonna do? Lois Shinjari.
Lois Jar Jar Binks.
Lois and Jar Jar Binks.
And so we're hopping into the third issue, which is called Fortress.
I guess it's called.
I guess he gets a fortress, right?
Oh yeah, he gets the fun. He gets the nice house because they're living. Higgins, they're hitting it big. I mean,
they are killing it.
I don't know.
In their professional lives.
Personally, I don't know many writers or interior designers, but I don't think they'd be living that well.
She's designing stuff in like Brazil or something like that.
Yeah,
and he's wrote 3 books about like some pretty like heavy subjects.
Yeah, a lot of like, I don't know, just a lot of mumbo jumbo.
I know, like some systems analysis and stuff like that. Like not fun books.
Not fun for me, certainly.
Not fun books, but everybody else seems to like them, so he's getting paid those big bucks.
And I'm happy for him in a way, but at the same time, how are you affording that house?
Well, because he's selling that he's getting that textbook money, and you know how much you get for that.
That's his side job, his side hustle. He teaches a lot of classes, and he's like, you have to read this book.
You have to read this textbook.
It's mine.
I wrote it.
He quickly rushed it into the school store. It's not even hardcover. It's just the papers, and they're loosely stapled together. Get you every time with that, because you can't just buy it on the internet. What a crook. But yeah, he's living the good life, isn't he? Because not only does he get his nice house, he gets the news that he's going to be a dad.
And he's got a boat.
Yeah, that's probably the best part, isn't it?
He's got a boat.
He's got it all. Plus, he's kind of got I like that this is a really smart character. Not to say the version of Superman we usually read is dumb by any means, but
he's dumber than this guy.
He's not street smart like this guy. Yeah, no. But he's kind of got a handle on the government. Like he knows how to listen in for him, and like
he was dipping and dodging. It's taking him through some snake holes.
He made that weird complex tunnel that like comes out of Cape Cod.
It sounded like that might have been something Superman had done in the past, because he was like, "Hey, this wasn't a bad idea Superman had."
He grows on the comics here and there. I guess because he needs the tips.
Yeah, he's like, "How am I supposed to stay away from all these bad guys?"
How am I
the only bad guys in his world are the U.S. government at this point. And that crazy reporter.
She's probably dead.
Well, she went to like some psych ward or something like that.
And then they killed her for being a bad. She's not a good reporter anyway.
No.
Like he wasn't covering his face. She left that camera light on right in front. Come on. But that's neither here nor there, because again, she's dead. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I like that he's got a handle on his life. Well, it's good news he's having the kid, and it turns out he's getting twins. Got some twinsies in there. That's good. I like that. That does kind of throw him off, though, because, again, one person knowing your identity, that's a huge thing. Now you're going to have 2 new people in your life, and you're supposed to protect them. Well, he knows the government's hunting him, and he's got a handle on it, but what if his kids have powers, what if they accidentally show that to someone, and then they tell the U.S. government, or that crazy reporter lady, if she's still alive, she's dead. But what if they tell someone, and then that comes back on them? He doesn't want that. So he does kind of have to make that compromise of how much do you value your secrets and your sense of self and your family. Whereas you got to find a good balance for that if you're a good dad, which he's a super dad, if I say so myself, Higgins.
He is a super dad, but you skipped over like probably my favorite part of this whole deal.
Well, excuse me, Higgins.
Which is when he's like doing all this tomfoolery to the government. He's like, I'm going to sneak into the CIA's headquarters and put the Superman soldier here and give these coordinates to the head government guy, whose name's Malloy, which is a great government guy name.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to take these missiles from the Atlantic Ocean and put them on this boat from the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And they're all like, what?
Yeah, because that's not something that Superman would typically do. It's just kind of...
But he does it as like, because they think like, super guy. We don't know how to stop him. Like, he's stronger than most things that we put against him. So they're like, obviously bad guy. So he's trying to say like, look, I got all these powers and I can have some fun. I can definitely like get you if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm helping you guys. And that's what starts like his hate relationship with the Smoloi guy. It starts their business deal.
Again, more sexual tension. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts their business deal where basically he's like a superhero on call for the government.
And he's not happy about it, but he knows he has to do it. He just wants to be a super dad. He's tired of being a super guy. He wants to focus on being a super dad. And that's the next part of his character growth. Again, I like this. Like every now and again, if Kurt Busiek wanted to come back with this character and kind of fill in a gap here and there as like a one shot, maybe. But I do like seeing these vignettes of, here's the biggest thing happening to him at this point, and this is what it's doing for him. And that really makes them hit home more when there's only 4 of those to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Don't they have the kids in this one too?
Yeah, they have the kids. That's he becomes like the government guy, and his wife's like, "Oh, I'm in labor. Let's go to the hospital, but don't fly me there,
you goober."
Cause like they'll find you, you dummy. But then they're in the hospital, and then the government's like, "Superman, we need you to do that thing that you said you could do a week ago, but we need you to do it now, cause politics."
Yeah, the politics got him right back. Whose fault would that have been? 2004, Bush? Bush, maybe.
I don't know, Bush.
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm real upset about it for him. You're not having the one kid, you're having the 2. Maybe he can make it back to see the second one if it stays in there for a little longer. But if they're holding hands, it's coming out. He's gonna miss that.
At least he didn't have to see her poop. He probably heard it though.
Oh, he heard the birth.
He heard the whole thing.
It's all good stuff.
And he can get his blood drawn. That's the other part. Like he's Superman, but like he can get his hair cut and get his blood drawn.
That's true. Yeah.
Which must be nice because like that must be like way easier to keep your secret identity when you can still do like some human stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Well, plus it's just nice to get a haircut every now and again. I got one today.
Without like
you didn't say anything.
Without laser beaming. I didn't notice.
Well, that's more her fault than yours, isn't it? Dang it. Yeah, that is fun, isn't it? Fun little bits in there. Those subtleties, I'm all about it.
But maybe I'll notice tomorrow, which is also the name of the 4th issue of this graphic novel.
Oh, so you're the one who wrote in on that segue.
Segue? That was me.
Very good.
Segue.
That's
Segue master.
So you read this one today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah, I read it yesterday.
How'd you like this one?
I thought it was neat. It took me a while to get on board with the ending artwork. It's just like it gets in future mode. But before that happens, we're seeing him hang out with his 20 to 30-year-old daughters. They're out of college. They've aged a lot.
Oh, haven't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And well. And how.
Are you stuttering on words to try and think of their names in the meantime?
That's Carol and Jane.
There you go.
Yeah, I knew what they were. Because they were like, man, we are not naming them Lana or... Now I'm stumbling on words.
Kara.
Yeah, that one.
Which would be weird, because that's his cousin in the comics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they didn't do it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Not enough sexual tension, but not weird sexual tension. So that's probably for the best anyway.
But yeah, he's having to live with being a regular dad.
I like the daughters are like quickly established as being different. Yeah, because you got the one who brings a new guy over every holiday, and then the other one's kind of got her life. Like they're doing well for themselves. Yeah. Oh, Mike, old trusty Mike.
I haven't seen it. We literally never see Mike, but
it's because we know he's in the other room. You can trust him, Higgins.
Usually
he's fine.
He's in Boston,
doing Boston stuff. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's doing that, and one's like in med school, and one's a photographer.
That's probably the one that doesn't have her life in check. Yeah. Got him. Got all photographers.
Probably. Got him, man. Our friend's gonna be so mad at you.
They usually always are. But yeah, I like the kids. I like that. It's cool to see like little glimpses of them when they were little. They're putting them through weird tests. Like, hey, can you lift this bed? I know you're 6, but can you lift this bed for me?
And she's like, Mommy, I don't want to.
That's
too heavy.
It was, yeah. But turns out it wasn't too heavy.
Yeah, but like back when she was 6, it was.
Oh, it's probably really heavy. Yeah. She probably live 2 beds now.
But at the end of the day, he's giving those airplane rides on one hand, and I don't care who you are. That's probably still tough, right?
I don't know. Not if you're a good dad, Higgins. That's what holds you up.
Is that he just had that dad strength,
fatherly love. That's all you need.
That dad strength.
I like that he's just a kind of a normal do nothing dad. Like he's going on walks, being seclusive. He's
going on walks with quotations around it, which means he flies into the stratosphere and looks at the world.
Yeah, because as we all know, quotation marks are the wings of grammar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, they always say that, Higgins. Wings are the
wings are the quotation marks of
quotation. No, they always say that, Higgins. Quotation marks are the wings of grammar, and Metropolis is always the Manhattan of another thing I said.
See, you said it almost twice.
Words to live by.
Words to live by.
But yeah, I like this. Like he's kind of winding down. It's a little sad to see him losing. Like he doesn't lose his powers at any point, which is cool. But he's getting older, and even that affects him. Like he's probably having to get haircuts more frequently, and that's fine. It just happens when you get older. You're not as spry as you once were.
He's definitely not as spry as he used to be.
I can't catch a train like he used to.
And you can try to stop a tornado, but you find out that there's other super people.
Again, they always say that.
You try to stop a tornado, but you find out there's other super people.
You try to stop a tornado in Metropolis, but you need the wings of grammar
quotation
first.
Marks.
You can't do it without just good thing we're recording this.
We can cut this out in post, right?
Never. That's what people are here to do, Higgins. They're here to learn and drink, hopefully.
Man, it'll be better if you guys drink this drink while you listen to us drink and do this podcast.
It'll at least be more coherent. Actually, we both need new drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make those.
Do. And we're back.
I think we're still recording. That's always the hope when you come back. But, no matter what, we've got another drink. They can't take that away from us.
Yeah, we do.
Cheers.
Clink.
Didn't even bother to make the motion. Fair enough.
Wink.
Yeah. You stuck to your...
That's for you, audience.
Oh, it works so great in an audio medium, doesn't it? Because what were we talking about? We were talking about fatherhood and suck up boyfriends and photographers.
We said he was losing his powers, right? That's why we got a new drink, because we were starting to lose our powers. or are we slowly losing our powers the more we drink?
That's the question, isn't it?
His wife makes that eggnog, which I can only assume is like...
It's going to at least help with his powers, yeah?
Like alcoholic,
give him a little boost, you think?
All I know is it's bad, apparently.
Eggnog?
No, like her eggnog, specifically.
Oh, her eggnog's pretty bad, yeah.
That's what they say.
That's what they always say. They say whatever we said before, and they say that Shandaris can never make eggnog.
Well, just Lois Chandaris.
I think it's the closest I've come to saying it right.
Chandarikis.
Chandelier. I actually really like this issue. I think it's the most different from the other three because it introduces the concept of other superheroes.
Yeah.
Because he's the first one, which makes sense because I don't think Superman's not the first superhero because we watched that one movie Glass where they told us he wasn't the first superhero. Didn't care for that bit, but to most people, he's the first superhero. So to kind of come back with this and this world he is, and then it seems like other, he starts getting little wins of maybe other people have powers, and
maybe I'll write a book.
Maybe he'll take what he's been writing down and change it a bit. Make Clark, change the names, make Clark Blark.
Clark Blark.
Clark Blark. But he's doing the book. He's having fun with it, and that like. He's just really his life's really come around, and it's cool to see that the powers are a big part of that. I like that we don't see this character die, because that does seem like the route it wants to take.
We did see him grow a beard, though.
Yeah, and he's looking pretty good in that beard.
It's real itchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't like it.
Do we have beards?
Well, Higgins, don't tell him.
We're not Superman.
Yeah, but we're halfway there, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
We've already got the beard. You've got the shirt on right now.
I've drank 4 of his cocktails. I'm on 4 of his cocktails right now, so like we're basically there.
Yeah, he's right there with him.
And I have a spoon now, so like
you got the spoon now, yeah. it only seemed fair to give it to you for the last half. But yeah, I really like where this character has come, and to see that and see this world could grow. I don't know if Kurt Busiek would ever come back to it with, you know, these new superheroes that kind of pop up, but he's passing the torch specifically to his daughters, because we find out that they actually do have superpowers. They just manifested later like his did. Which,
when they were like teens.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't even consider that.
I don't know.
But it's not the point. But his daughters are good characters. I would read a comic set in this world about his daughters.
Not even fighting superheroes. They're supervillains, because they don't seem to have those.
Yeah.
They literally just fight weather, car chases, and people.
Yeah, the occasional person, yeah. But, and I think that's fine. I don't think you always need a comic to have a definitive villain. The closest we got was probably that crazy reporter later, but it's fine. She's dead.
Yeah, I was expecting it the whole time, and I didn't get it, and I'm super happy that I didn't, because I liked it more because of that.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's not under the government's control anymore. He's retired, along with Malloy.
Yeah. The sexual tension finally came to a climax, and they just, you know, called her day. They were like, well, you go this way, I'll go that way.
I mean, once Malloy finally said his name in bed together, that was fine. That was the other thing that I liked.
The bed of the truck, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clark. He says, hey, Clark.
And
he's like, what?
That's their safe word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to see a mutual respect between, you know, we've seen Clark Kent, but this character that really doesn't get a lot of time in this book, but they do well to kind of set him up, and like the reveal that he always knew Clark's secret is obviously important.
He's like, I have kids too. I understand.
Yeah, he knows he has a family, and because of that, he's like, well, you obviously kept this secret to keep them safe, and turns out you are a pretty good guy, and you gave us toys that one time. That's pretty cool. So he's like, I got you. I went ahead and burned everything away. They'll never know, and you're good to leave. You know, just live out the rest of your life. I think that's all really good, and like this issue really kind of hammers home that concept of secret identity, because he finds out that his daughters might have the powers, but he doesn't want to. Well, part of him wants to just ask him, but he knows that that wasn't his choice. You know, he got to choose to keep his secret and then later on share it with who he wanted. So he wants his daughters to have that exact same thing. Even if they choose not to share it with him, he wants them to have that option. And I think that's really cool. And it makes sense given everything else we've read.
So it ends with him just saying, well, that was me, and I'm going to look off into the sunset and enjoy my day.
And he's going to go chase that sun.
Yeah, he chases it and gets another healthy dose of some sunsetting. He just keeps following it. But yeah, that kind of ends it off. I really enjoyed it.
What if that was the way he died? Just chases the sun for the rest of his life.
It's like, man, I'm going in circles.
He's like, man, Lois wants to go to Antarctica, and
it's cold there.
Should probably just make me eggnog. Don't want it.
I don't.
What's that sun doing though?
What's
no,
that sun doing?
It's a really wholesome story, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah, read that thing.
Read the thing. Again, you should have read it before you came back here. We said that at the beginning.
But yeah, read that thing.
And then drink this thing.
Yeah, Superman.
Yeah.
The cocktail, which is at the beginning of our episode. If for some reason you didn't listen to the first, 5 minutes.
I had a pretty good time with this drink. Just didn't have fun getting the ingredients for it.
How many,
It was a fucking nightmare to get this pineapple juice.
How many random amounts of things are you gonna give this book?
How many? Oh, like a rating.
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
I mean, we can.
All right. Let's see.
Do you want to name it after the things we used to make drinks, like something amount of jiggers out of?
I'm pretty sure you can't say the word jigger on a podcast.
Is that how we
Malibu?
Malibu
is going to be in a tough legal battle if we.
Malibu. Now we're sponsored.
Said it 3 times, they're gone. Whew. But I'm gonna give this. Oh, you know what? I've got it. I'm gonna give this 4 Shandaris out of 4.
4 Shandarikis out of 4. All right.
Very good.
Yeah.
High praise.
But okay, so we said we're gonna do this once a month, and we'd like for you to not have to stop in the middle of our podcast next time. So we're gonna tell you what we're gonna read next, and I'm I'm quite honestly pretty excited about next month's graphic novel.
Yeah, we may not always not do we may not always do a comic. Like, I mean, it'll be comic related. I need the pictures, so we're gonna have it at least something with pictures.
It's a graphic novel.
Yeah,
but they're not always gonna be superhero based.
Yeah, we're gonna try and kind of line it up with something that's coming up in the month. So like later we'll do a Shazam book in April, or for April's thing, and so on and so forth. But for March, nothing. I mean, Captain Marvel's coming, but the thing is, I'm excited about that movie. I don't really know a lot about that character or care about the comics version of her. So you picked this one when we were looking at ones to start the show with. What's it called?
First, which month is March?
The third month, Higgins.
All right. Well, this comics...
Wait, hold on. Was this one of those things where you were asking me to answer, or were you gonna...
No, that was the asking to answer one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the third month, and we picked We 3, because, get it? 3? Third month?
No.
Well, we're doing it anyways.
Okay, good.
But it's about a dog, a cat, and a rabbit, and they have robots.
There you go. That's all you need to know. That's your hook.
Yeah.
Right there.
They got robots.
Mm-hmm. They got robots. They've got dogs, cats, and...
The rabbit's name's Pirate, and he has a black spot on his eye, so I thought that was kind of cute.
That is pretty cute. Plus, it's Easter, so it all lines up. It's all lined up for you and Grant Morrison. You can put on your leather jackets and be bad boys together. I'm all for it. But yeah, we'll do that next
week.
Next month.
Yeah.
Unless you're listening to this a week before next month, which would be...
Or last week. We're doing this last week.
Yeah, if you're catching up. Look, listen to it when you want. That's what's important. And drink when we do. That's also important. Because otherwise we're just drinking by ourselves, and don't make us do that. I mean, Higgins has the spoon, so he's doing it right, but...
Clink.
He'd be doing better if he had someone to drink with and read with, more importantly. So yeah, read that.
And
then listen
drink
to this.
Our next drink. We might tell you what it is beforehand so you can get prepared.
No, we're not going to do that at all.
We got tweeters. Do you got tweeters?
Yeah, I think.
All right. Well, my Twitter's Mike Higgins 93.
Still doesn't make sense because your name's not Mike. Your real name's not Higgins. You're born in 93, so 1 out of 3. 1 out of we 3, Higgins. Good for you. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, mostly Instagram though. Again, I need something with pictures to keep me interested. Otherwise, I'm out. But I'm on both those things at Snoop_Lynch.
I'm on the Instagram too, but I'm not going to tell you about that. You'll find out. He's the one.
A little bit of sizzle there, huh?
Yeah. What do we decide to call this thing again?
Oh shit, we didn't even name the title. Huh. Me personally, I'm in favor of Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics. And you were thinking what?
Oh, the chummy comic and cocktail chats.
So, obviously we're
C4.
C4. All right. Obviously we're at a bit of an impasse with that.
But I'll go with you.
No. Both our opinions matter. So I say we leave this up to chance and flip a coin right here and now.
Right here and now?
Yeah.
All right. Who has a coin? Do you guys have a coin?
I'm gonna go get a coin. Ow! I say these things and then I'm not at all prepared for them. So, we've got a coin right here. It's got Lugia on one side, and then the Pokemon logo on the other.
So, Lugia's heads, right?
Well, he's got a tail, though. So he's tails.
He's a tails?
Not important. So, Lugia is the thing I said that I always say, and Pokemon logo is you. So we're going to give it a flip. You make the flip sound.
Swing!
And just going to let you take a look at that, tell the people what it be.
And we have a Lugia. So the name of our podcast is Comrades, Comics, and Cocktails.
No, Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics.
Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as all three are in there, that's what's important. So yeah, that's what it is. We've decided.
I'm glad you were here for this, everybody.
Our word is bond until we think of a better title and then maybe change it to that. But until then, that's what we're going by. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you'll be back for next month's episode.
We really hope you're back for next week's
please,
episode.
Please, God. Don't make us drink with each other just by ourselves. It's terrible. No, you're all right. But we're gonna read. There's 3 of the Wii's We're going to read We Three. We're going to have a drink with that and then talk about both. And we hope you enjoy. We hope you enjoyed this. But until next month, cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
You can't take my sign off.
Oh, wink. And we're out.
Do you really want to stick with the wink as your sign off?
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just throw a couple out. Wham. Comic book thing. Clink. Drink thing.
You're just trying to say bye.
Oh, adios. Spanish thing.
Are you saying bye or having a stroke?
I'm trying to think. And we're out.